starting
You
from the
said week 5?
week what? Week 5.
Week 5.
I don't know why I say week 1 structure, but this is week 5. Yeah, I don't know why I say week 5. I mean week 1. Uh, but let me double check. I got it from there. From
Oh, it says week 1 because Dr. Lunsford made all of these structure lists, and in the lecture portion, this would be week 1 from like quarters ago.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so they switched it now. So
Oh, okay, I see. And I still don't see in Blackboard. They don't have a. I don't know who is building this shell in Blackboard because there is no place to enter the grades for the first exam.
oh wow.
Yeah, but I'll see them tomorrow, not tomorrow, Wednesday. Yeah, it will be lots of muscles of the face that we're gonna look at. No.
Yeah, it is kind of creepy.
Oh, really? uh, I remove the nerves. You want to make it even more creepy? We're gonna remove one eye like that.
Oh my gosh.
How about that? Exactly. You see? Yeah.
Don't encourage him, Cole.
I've
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
with a guy that looks just like this.
What do
You
you
can.
mean you worked with a guy that looked like
His
this?
name was Jeff. He is amazing. He looks just like this right there. Like it's
Jeff?
perfect. Jeff, he looks just like that. Worked with
Wow.
him like a year ago at a smoothie shop. Super nice guy.
Are
Has
you
to be.
serious?
Yeah, he's missing an eye. He had like no skin on his face.
If you
It
are
was
missing
great.
an
He smiled
eye,
like that. Yeah.
listen, if you are missing an eye, you have to be nice.
Exactly. Work at a smoothie shop. That's the best place to
I'm bad. I'm sorry. So we're laundry is the only one that's the hold now. Or... Oh, they fired more people again? Oh, okay. But we're missing who else? Uh, and you guys are at home, right? Everybody else?
Yep, yeah, I'm at home.
Okay. We can start and we can review again.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start. That's good with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the recording going anyway, so hold on 1 second. Okay, let me start the recording, so at least we have the recording. Start recording. If nobody has any objection, they say always need to let people know. There is no objections. Okay, so we're gonna look at several muscles now. Most of these muscle, I mean, all of them pretty much that we're gonna look at are going to be muscles of facial expression. Okay. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because, like, as soon as you hear muscles of facial expression, you're going to remember that because most of the time, the common question that you're going to see in exams and board and all that, the nerve, name the nerve. For example, they ask you any of these muscles, it doesn't matter which one, including the platysma, by the way. So all these muscles of facial expression, they are going to be innervated by facial nerve. Period. End of story. Done. Okay. So remember, all the muscles that we're looking at, these are going to be muscles of facial expression, and they're all supplied by cranial nerve number 7, which is the facial nerve. Okay. So it doesn't matter. Don't hesitate. If they ask you any of these muscles and they ask you the nerve that supply these muscles, is going to be cranial nerve number 7. Okay. So the first one we're looking at, which is this muscle here, it has two bellies, by the way. It has two bellies and it has an huge aponeurosis in the middle, right there. The white stuff that you're looking at. So basically, it has a big fibrous connective tissue. It has the two bellies, one in the front, right there, by the frontal lobe, by the frontal bone, and then the other one by the occiput, right there. And that's why look at the name. It's called occipitofrontalis. So because it comes from the occiput all the way to the front, to the frontal bone. Now another name of it, that's the old name. It's called epicranius, epicranius. And you can look at the original insertion. Basically, it has two parts. It has the occipitalis part and the frontalis part. But it's a long one. It's a long muscle that goes from the front all the way to the back. So that's going to be in your list is number one, occipitofrontalis. And they ask you to identify occipital and frontal belly because it has two bellies. So basically, this is the frontal belly, and this is here is the occipital belly. And between them, you have this huge or a large aponeurosis right there. Okay. So that's the first one in the list. The second one is the Procerus is this muscle right there. Oh, you have to remove. We have to do a little bit of removal here. But for now, we'll do it without removal. So I still have occipitofrontalis intact. I'm showing you Procerus right there. It's the second one. Procerus right there. So Procerus from both sides showing you Procerus. Next, remember Procerus is in the one in the middle. Is like in the midline between the two midlines, right and left. To the lateral aspect of it, that's going to be your depressor supercilii. I don't know if they have it in the list. Let me see. Depressor, depressor. I don't have it. Okay, you don't have to worry about it then. But this is the depressor supercilii. So this is going to be Procerus, and this is depressor supercilii. Now, if you want to go even more lateral, you can see this one right there, which is like it's number 3 in the list. This is orbicularis oculi. Orbicularis, any muscle that is circular like this, basically in the face you have only two of them. You have orbicularis oculi, and then you have the other one is this one, orbicularis oris. Orbicularis oculi, orbicularis oris. Okay. So one more time, this is the one that was two bellies. Is going to be your occipitofrontalis, occipitofrontalis. And then second one in the list they have for you is the Procerus. Okay. And then for whatever reason they didn't have this one, but this is the depressor supercilii. Now they have one. They have the corrugator supercilii. Now you won't be able to see invisible body, or even in the la in the in the anatomage table, you will not be able to see the corrugator. The corrugator is hidden. So in order for you to see the corrugator, let me teach you how to do that. So if you see if you see the proceres intact in the anatomage table, and you have the depressor supercilii intact, then you won't be able to see the corrugator, okay? Because the corrugator is underneath. So in order for you to see it, you're going to have to hide the proceres, and then you're going to have to hide the depressor super. I'm going to do from one side, depressor supercilii. I'm going to hide it, and then you're going to have to hide also the occipitofrontalis. Now you can see the corrugator. See what I'm talking about? So the corrugator supercilii is underneath. Basically, this is the one that makes you do this. Basically, pull the corrugator. This is the corrugation, basically. That's a that's the act. When you contract this muscle, basically you're pulling the skin towards the midline. That's the corrugator supercilii. Okay, got it? So one more time. So this is occipitofrontalis. Occipitofrontalis. Two bellies. You have a frontal belly towards the frontal bone, frontal belly, and then you have occipital belly towards the occipital bone. Between them, this is the large aponeurosis right there. So that's the one in the list. Number two in the list is the proceres. This one, proceres in the list. Now, they don't have this one. They skipped it for whatever reason. But this is going to be your depressor supercilii. Depressor supercilii and corrugator supercilii, because the two of them, they do one thing basically. They are in the same location, but one underneath. The corrugator is underneath. You will not be able to see the corrugator if you have these two intacts. You have to remove them. Okay. Now, a circular one around the eye is orbicularis oculi. Orbicularis oculi. And that's it for this area. Now, when it comes to nasalis, they have it just as in the list. They have only nasalis for you, but they don't. They didn't tell you which one. So there is several nasalis, by the way. This one is nasalis. This is nasalis, the transverse portion of nasalis. This is also nasalis, but this is the alar, because this is the ala. This right here is the greater alar cartilage. So this is nasalis and this is nasalis. But in your list, they have only one nasalis. So this is the transverse portion and this is the alar portion. Okay, this is the one that I like the most. This one right here is the next one in the list. You see it in the list? Are you following me, guys? Yeah. Can
Yeah,
you
sorry,
read
it's hard
that?
to switch back between the list. Sorry.
Right. I want somebody to read that one. The one under Nisalis.
I don't even know if I want to attempt that one.
No, go ahead. Because I'm gonna.
You're just trying to make fun of me. Levator labii superioris aliquinesi.
Exactly. Yeah. This is the one that I like. This is the sexiest muscle ever. It's called levator labii super. I always laugh when it comes. Labii superioris aliquinesi. You have to say it that way. So it's a levator labii superioris aliquinesi. This one. The longest ever name. It's a levator labii superioris aliquinesi. So that's a very long name for this muscle. So and it has two parts to it, because it has two parts, and that's why it has this part aliquinesi, because so the upper part of the frontal process, so of the maxilla, and insert in the two slips. It has two slips, the alar, and that's the one that's ala, and that's why aliqui, and then the other part is is It's so towards the labi, and that's why it's called labi. So these are the part, the parts, the labi and the liqui, because part goes to the lip, to the upper lip right there, and part goes to the alar cartilage, and that's why it has this long name, levator labi superioris aliquinesi. So this is the one. Okay. Next to it, you're gonna have levator labi superioris. Basically, this is the one that elevates the upper lip, and that's why it's called levator labi superioris. Okay, levator labi superioris. I'm gonna go over them more than once. Then you have two, has something to do with zygomaticus. So because they're connected to the zygomatic bone, so it's going to be one is going to be zygomaticus minor, the other one is zygomaticus major. Just want to remember, the zygomaticus major is the one that lateral, this one. The lateral one is the major. The medial one is the minor. Okay? So one more time, from the beginning. You're going to have occipitofrontalis with two bellies, one to the front, one to the back. Then you're going to have procerus right there. Now, this one, they don't have it in the list, the depressor superioris, supercilii, sorry, supercilii. And then you have the corrugator supercilii. Then you have the circular one around the eye, that's orbicularis oculi. And then nasalis, they have two. But in the list, you only have nasalis one time. So this is nasalis, transverse portion, and this is nasalis. So basically, any muscle you see here going across the nose is going to be nasalis. However, the one that going from the bottom up and connected to the upper lip, this is going to be the levator labi superioris aliquinesi. Next to it, which is lateral to it, is going to be the one that just elevate the upper lip, and is going to be levator labi superioris. Because later we're going to see a depressor labi inferioris, by the way. So this is the one that uh, elevates the upper lip. Okay. Next to it, you're going to have two zygomaticus, zygomaticus minor, zygomaticus major. Okay. Now, now another one is going to be, they don't, this one right here, you don't see it is stuck behind the zygomaticus minor, behind it. But this one elevates uh, the upper lip as well, levator labi superioris. No, sorry. Levator angle. Why? Levator labi superioris, zygomaticus. Yeah. So next one. So next one. So you have zygomaticus minor, zygomaticus major. The next one in the list is the levator anguli oris, which is this one right there. Basically, this one elevates the upper lip, but this one elevates the angle of the mouse. You see the difference? And that's why we want to call this levator anguli oris, basically the one that elevate the angle or the, like, yeah, the border basically of the mouse, and that's why oris. However, this one, because exclusively it elevates the upper lip, so this one here is this one, sorry, yeah, I'm confusing you. This one is the levator labi superioris. Okay. So this is the one, levator labi superioris. This one is also levator, but it goes to the angle of the mouse, as you can see. And that's why it's called levator anguli oris. And these are the zygomaticus minor and major. Got it? Now, this one, they have it in the list. This is the risorius. This one you want to remember. Risorius. I'm going to give you risorius and the one behind it. So risorius is the one that makes you smile. Basically, it pulls the angle of the mouse to the side. That's the risorius right there. Behind it is the vaccinator. Okay? So, and then this one is the masseter or masseter. Now, I don't know why they have master here, but for inclusiveness. But you have to remember, masseter or masseter is not a muscle of the facial expression. Are you with me? So everything we talked about so far, these are muscles of facial expression. Okay. So one more time, like occipitofrontalis, facial expression. Okay. Now, now procerus, facial expression. Corrugator supercilii, facial expression. Orbicularis oculi, facial expression. Nasalis, facial expression. Levator labii superioris, aliquinesi, facial expression. The other nasalis, facial expression. Now, levator labii superioris, facial expression. Levator anguli oris, facial expression. Zygomaticus minor and zygomaticus major, facial expression. Risoris, facial expression. Vaccinator, facial expression. Okay. When it comes to masseter, it's not facial expression. What is it? Somebody knows? It's a mastication muscle. It's a muscle of mastication. Okay. Why am I saying this? Because I want you to remember the rest of your life, muscles of facial expression, one more time, are supplied by the facial nerve. Facial expression, facial nerve, cranial number 7. When it comes to muscles of mastication, and I'm going to give them to you when we come to them. Actually, another one coming, I see it in the list now. Uh, when it comes to the muscles of mastication, there is 4 of them. These are going to be masseter, temporalis, and 2 pterygoids. Pterygoids, uh, lateral pterygoid and medial pterygoid. They are supplied by the trigeminal nerve. Okay, so that's a big difference. Okay, when it comes to the nerve supply. So this masseter is not a muscle of facial expression; it's a muscle of mastication. Okay, all right. Now masseter in real life, it has 2 bars to it. This is the, but they don't ask you this detail, so don't worry about it. But it has 2 parts. It has this part that I'm highlighting, which is the superficial part, and then it has a deep part. These are the 2 parts of the masseter or masseter. Okay, let's do it one more time, because after that I'm going to move to this area. So I want to give this area another attention right here, below the rib, the lower lip. Okay, so the muscle that we just talked about are occipitofrontalis. It has 2 bellies. It's a long muscle. This is the frontal belly, and this here is the posterior belly. Okay, so now when you come to the midline, right above it, you're gonna have procerus right there, procerus. Under, you have to remove occipitofrontalis to be able to see this one. This is the corrugator supercilii. Okay. Now this one here, they don't have it in the list. This is the depressor supercilii. Depressor supercilii. Okay. So now a circular muscle here, there's going to be your orbicularis oculi. Orbicularis oculi. On the nasal, on the nose, basically, you have 2. Transverse, which is nasalis, basically. These 2, transverse one, they are both called nasalis. And this nasalis and this nasalis. And then you have one also has something to do with the nose, but also has a relationship to the upper lip. And this is called levator labii superioris aliquinesi. Aliquinesi, right? So that's going to be this one right there. Now, to the lateral portion of it, you're going to have this muscle, which is elevate the upper lip. And we're going to call it levator labii superioris. Levator labii superioris. Another one right behind it, it elevates the angle of the mouse. This angle of the mouse, and that's why it's called levator anguli oris. Levator anguli oris. And then you're going to have 2 zygomaticus, zygomaticus minor, zygomaticus major, minor, major. And then the muscle that makes you smile is the risoris. Right behind risoris, you're going to have buccinata. This is the muscle that makes you push your cheek, basically. Yeah, for whistling. Yeah, this is a whistling muscle. You hear it like sometimes called the whistling muscle. That's going to be your buccinator or buccinator. Some people say buccinator. Okay. Another muscle in the face, but is not part of the facial expression muscle, is a mastication muscle. It's a masseter. Okay. So one thing I want you to remember about this mastication, for whatever reason, they have something with the M. Yeah, yeah. Masseter is, you have to remember masseter for mastication, right? So this is a masseter, right? Any questions on this?
No, I'm good.
Oh no. Now remember, this is the angle of the mouse again, right? This is the angle of the mouse. What I'm pointing right there. See? That's the angle of the mouse. You agree? This one here, it elevated. It's a levator anguli oris. Guess what this does? It depresses it. So this elevates the angle of the mouse. This depresses the angle of the mouse. This called levator anguli oris. This is called depressor anguli oris. Make sense? So I want you to remember them like that. So now this is the lower lid. You agree? This one. But see, invisible body, when it doesn't give you upper lip by itself and lower lip by itself. It gives you the entire muscle. But just what I'm pointing right here, this is the lower lip. Now, this is the muscle that depresses the lower lip, right? So, and that's why we want to call it the muscle that depresses the lower lip, depressor labii inferioris. So remember, so remember this is levator labii superioris. This is the depressor labii superioris. This one. This is the lower lip, and this is the one that depresses it. So it's going to be depressor labii inferioris. Sorry, inferioris, because the lower lip. Okay. Now this one here is the one that when you do this, hmm, you're thinking mentalis. Okay, you got it. And then of course platysma. Mentalis, auricularis, auricularis. Oh, I need to do auricularis. Okay, we'll do auricularis. No worries. Uh, it's another muscle of expression. But I want to review this one more time with you. But if you are okay, just let me know. But I would do it one more time. So this is the occipitofrontalis, and then in the midline I have the procerus. Under the occipitofrontalis, you have to remove occipitofrontalis, and you have to remove procerus. You will find the corrugator supercilii. Okay. Now, a circular muscle is going to be orbicularis oculi. In the nasal region, you're going to have the transverse, but it's called nasalis, but it's the transverse, two of them, that one and this one. Then you have one has something to do with the nose and the upper lip, and this is going to be your levator labii superioris, aliqui nasi. Okay, and then you have one that elevate the upper lip. This is the upper lip where I'm pointing, and it's going to be levator labii superioris. Now another one that elevates the angle of the mouse is going to be right by it is going to be levator anguli oris. And then zygomedicus minor, zygomedicus major. The muscle that makes you smile is going to be risorius. The muscle that depresses the angle of the mouse is a depressor anguli oris. And then the muscle that depresses the lower lip is going to be depressor labii inferioris. The muscle that we touch when we're thinking about something, we're executing our mental thing, is mentalis. A muscle that in the face, but is not part of the muscles of facial expression, is part of the mastication muscle. is going to be masseter. Masseter has two bellies, has two bars, superficial and deep. But for your purpose, it's just one. And then another muscle of facial expression is this one, platysma. Although it's in the it's in the the neck, but if you look at the function of it here, depression of the corner of the mouth, elevation of the skin. So basically, give you that feeling of horror or scare, right? So, but again, it's supplied by cranial number 7. Now, they have for you auricularis, just one of them. So that's going to be your, there is lots of auricularis, but they only have one. They just call it auricularis, right under mentalis in the list. So, but there are several of them. This is auricularis, and this is auricularis as well. This is the anterior, and this is the superior. And there is a posterior one. You have to hide right there. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to hide that, but it's right there. So you have an anterior auricularis, superior auricularis, and posterior auricularis. Basically, the one that are we lost the function of these muscles. I mean, but animals, for example, like a dog, they will point their ear in different direction. But human, we lost the functionality for this. I mean, some people do. Some people train these muscles. They can move their auricle. I mean, you probably have seen those. You can look in YouTube, you'll see some of those. But you have to have a training to do that. Okay. So these are going to be your 3 auricularis. But in the list, they are just saying auricularis. Go figure. I don't know which one. Now, look. So they have the muscles of mastication. This one here, this is showing you the fascia. If I remove the fascia, this is temporalis. So remember, temporalis is a muscle of mastication. So temporalis has an M as well. See temporalis? So masseter has an M. Temporalis has an M. These are muscles of mastication. Okay? Then medial and lateral pterygoid, those are deep. I will show you these muscles. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of removal, but in the lab we have a model for them. I don't know if this makes sense. This is the one of them. This is the constrictor right there. It's very deep in there, right there. So this is the medial pterygoid. You're gonna have to do lots of. I'm gonna have to remove this to show you. So there is 2 of them. This is the medial. This is the medial pterygoid, and this is the lateral pterygoid. Medial pterygoid, lateral pterygoid. Medial pterygoid, lateral pterygoid. So I want you to remember them. So medial, there's only 4 muscles when it comes to mastication. Medial pterygoid. There are 2 of them pterygoid, pterygoid. Okay? Remember the B is silent. So pterygoid. So medial pterygoid, lateral pterygoid. These are 2 muscles of mastication. And then the other 2 are on the outside. Those are easy to identify. Come on. So the other 2 are easy to identify. What happened? I didn't open a note. One is the temporalis. I'm going to hide the fascia right there. That's the temporalis. It's a mastication muscle. All these muscles are connected to the, and you can imagine that's true, to the mandible because they are mastication muscle. So temporalis, and then masseter, and then the deep ones are medial and lateral pterygoid. It might sound like tough to find, but they're easy. Right there, one, and this is the other one. That's the other one right there. Medial and lateral, but they are connected to the. They are connected to the to the mandible. They are linked the mandible with the pterygoid process. Remember the pterygoid process? I can show you the pterygoid process. When you go to the sphenoid bone, let me bring the sphenoid bone out. So this, remember this guy? This guy is called pterygoid. This entire area right here is called the pterygoid process. It has 2 plates. It has this plate. It's called the lateral pterygoid plate, and this one here is called the medial pterygoid plate. These two muscles actually are connected to the medial pterygoid blade. Okay, they both connected to the medial. One connected on the medial aspect of the medial pterygoid blade, and the other one is connected to the lateral aspect of the medial pterygoid blade. Okay, but there is a huge model. I'll show you in the lab. So, any questions on the muscles? You want me to do it again?
Maybe just at the end, would you care to show the deeper muscles again? I think I'm understanding the superficial, but some of the deeper ones were harder to see.
Right. Yeah, they are hard to see unless we do this. Let's do it here. Let's bring this guy, and if we hide some of the bones, oh, I can't hide that one. I have to hide this guy. Then I'll be able to show you more. If you do that, and now let's add them. Medial. There we go. Oh, I'm gonna add it over to the left. I'm gonna add to the left, and then I'm gonna add the lateral. After it go right to the left. Okay. See, now you can see them. See,
Yes, that's so much better. Thank you.
I know. See, they're, they are both connected to this blade right there. We gotta remove it. Actually, you know what? Hold on one second. I'm gonna make it even better. If I remove all these guys. Now it looks better. See, this is the pterygoid blade right there, the one I just showed you. And they are connected, see, to the mandible. They are hooked to the mandible from each side to the mandible, and they kind of like split, and they go all the way up. So this is going to be your medial pterygoid, and this one right there is the. I didn't add the muscle actually. Lateral pterygoid, lateral pterygoid. I need to add the muscle. It has two. Actually, I have to add these to it. Right there. Now I added it. We don't need the artery. We're gonna remove the artery. See here? Now they are big, huge. See the way that they are connected. See, this is gonna be your lateral pterygoid, and that one right there is the medial. The medial pterygoid splits, but again, there is a very nice model for it. But the take home message. Oh, while we are here, we can add makes it even more beautiful. A cedar, uh, a cedar to the left. I'm gonna add my cedar to the left superficial, and I'm gonna add temporalis. Tempo. Let's add to the left. So now you see all of them. See, all muscles of mastication are connected to the mandible in from different parts of the mandible. Two from the outside upper surface, the temporalis and masseter, and two from the inside, which is pterygoid medial, pterygoid lateral. They are all muscles of mastication, and they all basically are controlling the mandible. One thing you have to remember about all of them, look at this. It doesn't matter which one. Look at the innervation, trigeminal nerve. Now, if I click on this innervation, so trigeminal nerve. If you click on the other one, trigeminal nerve. All of them are innervated by the trigeminal nerve. So the trigeminal nerve has three branches. One of them is the mandibular branch. And it's easy to remember because these are the muscles of mastication and they move the mandible. And the nerve that supply them is going to be the trigeminal nerve. But trigeminal nerve, because trigeminal is three, it has a mandibular branch. So they're all supplied by the mandibular branch of the trigeminal nerve. Muscles of the facial expression, the one that we talked about in the front, these are the one that's supplied by the facial nerve, cranial number 7. Okay? All right. So these are the muscles. I don't see any more muscles. Now they have the trigeminal nerve for you, by the way, as well. So let's do the trigeminal nerve. Now in the lab, they have a very good model for the trigeminal nerve. But at least I will show you here. So when you go tomorrow in the anatomage table, you'll be able to identify it easily. So the trigeminal nerve is this guy, big nerve. You won't miss it. This nerve right there. This is trigeminal nerve. So now we have in the dry lab, we have a model for it, okay? And the reason it's called trigeminal because it has three branches. So that's why it's trigeminal. So it's a trigeminal nerve exits right from the lateral aspect of the pons, as you can see right there. And this is the ganglion. This is the trigeminal nerve, and this is the trigeminal ganglia. Now, they like to ask this, so be careful in the anatomage table. They might ask you the trigeminal ganglion right there. Now, as soon as it exits out of the trigeminal ganglion, it's going to divide to the three branches. One is ophthalmic branch, right there. The second one is the maxillary branch, right there. And the last one is the one that we just talked about, is the mandibular branch. So, and that's why it's called trigeminal. Trigeminal is Canadian nerve number 5. Trigeminal. It's a mixed nerve. Okay. It's a number 5. It's a mixed nerve. Exit from the lateral aspect of the bones right there, and it enters the ganglion. Okay. So remember the ganglion, because this is outside the central nervous system, remember? So if it is inside the central nervous system, this is going to be called a nucleus. But because this is outside, basically cell bodies of these nerves, 1, 2, 3, the cell nerves, the nuclei of these nerves are located here in the ganglion. So this is ophthalmic nerve. It goes out through the superior orbital fissure right there. That's superior orbital fissure. See, this one here exit out through the foramen rotundum. That's going to be your maxillary nerve. And this one is the mandibular nerve. And this is the one that goes and supplies these muscles of mastication. So that's the trigeminal gang. So because they ask you the trigeminal nerve and the trigeminal ganglion. So tomorrow, make sure you identify the trigeminal nerve and the ganglion, and then you can see the branches. But in the dry lab, I will show you the model that I'm talking about. But I want it to be ready for tomorrow. Okay? Now, trigeminal branches. So it tells you, if you follow me on the list, it's a nerve, greater and lesser palatine nerve. Don't worry about this one. I will show you the greater and lesser palatine nerve. Usually, it's not that, because it's a small one, usually it's not that asked, but the trigeminal, definitely. You can expect to see the trigeminal in the exam. Trigeminal nerve, and then next in the list is the trigeminal ganglion. And then it tells you, well, trigeminal branches, which ones? Ophthalmic, maxillary, and mandibular, okay? So going to be your ophthalmic right there. Ophthalmic is going to exit out, I'll show you in a second. It's going to give you the branches next in the list. That's ophthalmic. This is going to be your maxillary nerve, and this is the mandibular nerve. What is ophthalmic going to do? Ophthalmic is going to exit out. This is ophthalmic right there. See? Exiting out, all the way out, right there. When ophthalmic exit out, is going to give you these branches, supraorbital and supratrochlear, this one and this one. So when it exits out, it's going to give you supraorbital. Basically, this is the orbit, right? Supraorbital and supratrochlear. And hold on, right there. Supraorbital. I keep hitting. Yeah, supraorbital and supratrochlear, these two. How do you know which one is which? Easy. The supraorbital is the one that goes all the way to the vortex, all the way up. That's the supraorbital. The one that is top short, this one right there, is the supratrochlear. Okay? Supraorbital and supratrochlear. All right? Then you have the way they are listing them here is going to be scattered all over the place, but the lingual, they're talking about the lingual nerve, which is this one, right? Uh, I don't see the lingual here. I don't see the lingual. So maybe in another model, I will find the lingual for you. But the lingual is the one that's going to the tongue. So lingual nerve, inferior alveolar nerve. These are going to be all branches from this guy, from the mandibular nerve. The mandibular nerve. Mandibular nerve is going to go way deep in there, and it's going to give you. Yeah, I can see them now. See, they're very deep though. See, do you see it highlighted? I know invisible body is a little bit tough right there. So that's going to be my mandibular. Mandibular is going to give me these branches right there. Inferior alveolar. I'll show you inferior alveolar in a second. I have to do lots of removal and the lingual right there. You just have to go deep for them. So for that, we're gonna have to bring another model. Now the mental, when the mandibular exits out, is going to become the mental, which is this one right there. Remember this muscle? It's called mentalis. The one that goes out of it is the mental nerve. Exit out of it, the mental nerve. Infraorbital is the maxillary exiting out. You don't see it here very well, but it's right there. I have to do a little bit of removal to be able to show you right there. Infraorbital, because behind the orbit. So to show you more, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring, I'm gonna bring this guy, and I'm gonna add the nervous system here. Okay. So now, because the muscles are on the way, so you won't be able to see. So we need to remove the parietal bone to be able to see. We need to remove this part, the brain. Well, see right now, I can remove this to be able to show you even more. Now you can see it. See, that's going to be your trigeminal right again. Trigeminal, right? Trigeminal again, as we just mentioned, trigeminal has 3 branches. Has an this is the ganglion, trigeminal nerve, trigeminal ganglion. Then you have ophthalmic, you have maxillary, and then you have mandibular. Okay, ophthalmic, maxillary, mandibular. Ophthalmic is the one that's going to exit out right there. if I go deep and remove the eye, just trust me for that. I will show, I can show you all the way down there. But eventually, it's going to exit out to give you these branches. This one, supraorbital, and the other one is the supratrochlear. Okay, so and if you can read about it here, it's a part of the trigeminal nerve. It's a mixed nerve, and tell you that's part of the ophthalmic branch, which is going to exit out, and it's going to become this guy. Now, the second branch, which is this guy, which is this guy, which is the maxillary is going to exit out and it's going to give you this guy, which is the infraorbital. Infraorbital. Infraorbital is very easy to spot it. Basically, this is the infraorbital foramen. This here is the infraorbital foramen. Two nerves you can easily spot the infraorbital by the foramen because you see the foramen. That's the foramen. This is the infraorbital foramen or canal, right? Exiting out of it is going to be the infraorbital nerve. So that's easy. Another easy one is remember this foramen right there? This is the foramen mentalis, right? So mental foramen. Exiting out from the mental foramen is the mental nerve. Okay? Now, to show you the alveolar nerve, what I'm going to do, I'm going to fade. I'm going to fade this guy. So now I faded the mandible. See the mandible is being faded. So you see it travel right in the mandible, inside the mandible. This nerve right there, which supplies um, the teeth of the lower jaw in there. See right there. This nerve here is alveolar. This is alveolar nerve. I'm going to show you from inside the alveolar nerve. See right there is part of this nerve. See what I have highlighted there is the mandibular branch. Mandibular branch is going to give you several branches right there. Part of these branches is one going to the masseter, by the way. This is going to be your buccal, going to the area of the buccal. This one right there is going to be the lingual branch. And this one here is the alveolar branch, inferior alveolar. See, now I have it highlighted. You see what I'm doing? You see it? And this is the one that if they want to do any work on the lower jaw, for example, if you have a tooth, they want to drill in that tooth, this is the one that they're going to numb. So that's traveling right in the inside the mandible. And it supplies, as you can see, all these teeth here are supplied by the inferior alveolar. So the inferior alveolar give you three branches. Inferior alveolar, the the mandibular gives you three branches. Three main. They give you several other branches, but the main are three. One going to the buccal. That's going to be your buccal nerve. The other one is going to the tongue. That's going to be your lingual nerve. Then the third one is going to the major one is going to be the inferior alveolar. Okay. These are the and you have the lingual nerve. You have the inferior alveolar nerve, and then exiting out, when it exits out from here, it becomes, as you can see right there, when it comes out, is going to become known as the mental right there, mental foramen. Okay, and the infraorbital is this one, the mandibular ganglia. Now, zygomatic temporal, zygomatic facial. Now we have two more nerve to show you. Uh, but these they are talking about them as just part of just they are throwing them out. So zygomaticofacial nerve and zygomaticotemporal, which is this one right there. It's a temporal branch. But we have to study them in as part of the facial nerve. I don't know why they're having them just listed. So So facial nerve, temporal branch, zygomatic branch, buccal branch, mandibular branch, cervical branch. So when it comes to the facial nerve, exiting out, right there is the facial nerve, right there. It's cranial nerve number 7. Facial nerve. Then facial nerve has several branches. One of them is behind the auricle, is going to be, remember I talked about this one? It's a posterior auricular, part of the facial nerve number 7, posterior auricular. Then it marches down and it gives you all these branches within the within the parotid gland. You have the parotid gland here. I can add it. Then it gives you all these branches. So one is going to be this one. It's a temporal branch. Then the second one is the zygomatic branch. And then the next one is the buccal, which is this one right there, buccal branch. And then the mandibular branch, which is the, now we call it marginal mandibular. It used to be called just mandibular because to differentiate it from the other mandibular, remember we talked about the trigeminal has a mandibular branch. So now we call this the marginal mandibular. And the last one is going to be the cervical, this one, cervical branch. These are branches of the facial, facial nerve, cranial number 7. Now, it might be a good idea to do it with the gland. So I'm gonna have to bring this guy because it the distribution of the facial nerve, you see it right there with the parotid gland. So I'm gonna have the parotid gland. It won't give me the gland if you type parotid, salivary parotid left. Okay, here you go. Now what I want to do, I'm gonna leave the gland intact, but I'm gonna fade it because this is what you want to get oriented in the anatomage table, particularly if they give you, they ask you the facial nerve, but they leave the parotid gland because the distribution of the nerve takes place within the gland. I can remove the platysma. As you see it. So this is the let's remove this so you can see
Dr.
exiting
Hamdan,
out. Uh-huh.
do you know when they do use the anatomage table, do they typically leave the parotid gland in, or do you have any idea?
Yeah, see, the thing is, the one that I have seen, they leave it in. They leave the gland or they fade it. They fade the gland the way that I did right here. So because it's easier for you to get oriented within the gland. So,
Okay,
but
thank you very much.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, but the nerve is like this. See, and then basically, aside from this one, which is the posterior auricular, this one right there is the posterior auricular. Aside from this, it's easy to identify them because they just go by the names, yeah, by the names of the areas they go to. So this one here is going to be the temporal. This one we talked about this before. So remember, this is part of the cranial number 5. We discussed this last time. This is the auriculotemporal. This is going to be your auriculotemporal. So this is not part of it. But starting from here, this is going to be the come on. This is going to be the first one. Going towards the temporal region is going to be temporal nerve, cranial number 7, temporal nerve. The second one going towards the zygomatic is going to be zygomatic nerve. The next one is going towards the buccal area is going to be the buccal. Okay. The next one going towards the mandible, we call it marginal mandibular. And the last one is the cervical, going down to the neck. So these are the branches. Now, some people say, put your hand like this, like if you put your fingers like behind your, yeah, you can do it like this. You see it in the atlas, like drawn like this. So this one here will be the posterior auricular, the first one, and then you go temporal, zygomatic, and then buccal, and then marginal, uh, marginal mandibular, and then you need another one for the cervical. If you want to remember it that way. So, but one more time, it exists right there in a foramen. I don't know if you remember this foramen between the styloid process and the mastoid process. There is a foramen there called the stylomastoid foramen. I can show you next. It's called the stylomastoid foramen. Let's see if we can flip it like this. You might be able to see the foramen. Let's remove this. You see this foramen right there? It's called stylomastoid foramen right there. That's where the cranial number 7 exits. As soon as it exits, it gives you the posterior auricular nerve. And then it just heads toward the face. Heads toward the face, give you one branch is temporal. The next one towards the zygomatic is going to be zygomatic, towards the zygomatic bone, basically. The third one goes, remember this muscle right, vaccinator, towards the buccal is going to be the buccal branch. Then one going towards the mandible is going to be the mandibular, but we call it marginal mandibular to differentiate it from the other mandibular. So there are two mandibular coming from the trigeminal mandibular, and then the one coming from the facial is called marginal mandibular. Okay, it used to be just called mandibular, but it created confusion. The last one is the cervical. Okay, so I think because this is your first time running over it, it might be a little bit like, oh, what the heck is going on? But when you do it in the anatomy table, and then we do it again in the dry next time, so it definitely will make more sense. Uh, Now blood supply. So you want me to do it again? Bring another model, or how you feel?
I think since we have the recording, at least for me, since I'll be able to watch this back, I'm comfortable.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 So yeah, definitely. And you have the recording, as you said. Now let's do the facial nerve one more time. A facial artery. Okay. So the facial artery is easy. So I'm gonna bring it again. So remember the facial artery. We can bring it here, and then we can bring it with the muscles one more time. Okay. So remember the facial artery is the branch of the external carotid. One more time. See. Let's do it one more time. So you have the carotid right and left. That's going to be your carotid artery. The one that, remember, we said this, don't get confused. The one that doesn't give you any branches, it marches straight. That's going to be the internal carotid. The one that you're going to see branches is going to be the external carotid. From the external carotid, you have this massive artery. Right at the angle, right there, where I'm pointing, that's the angle of the mandible. So right there, that's basically turns by the angle of the mandible all the way like this. Okay, and this is going to be your facial. Okay, and they're asking you here branches of the facial artery, superior and inferior labial. It's very easy to identify this. Basically, you have a branch going towards the upper lip. We're going to call it superior labial artery. You have another branch going to the lower lip. We call it inferior labial artery. Okay, then it continues as an artery by itself. It's a facial. After it gives you the inferior and the superior, it just changes name. It becomes known as the angular artery. That's what you have in the list. Angular artery. Okay. So angular artery is going to form anastomosis with this guy, which is going to be the dorsal nasal artery. Dorsal nasal artery. Okay. The dorsal nasal artery is a, is going to make anastomosis with the maxillary, but they don't have this here in the list for you. These branches here, these deep branches, you see there, ophthalmic branch is a branch from the maxillary artery, which is this one, the one that goes deep in there. That's the maxillary right there. This is the maxillary artery. It eventually gives you branches right here, It goes very deep in there and then gives you these branches. Okay. Now they have the supraorbital and supratrochlear. Remember these two? Remember the nerves? We talked about the two nerves. One is the supratrochlear, and the other one is the supraorbital right there. Supraorbital artery, supratrochlear artery. Supraorbital artery, supratrochlear artery. Let's review the facial nerve again. Facial nerve is a branch from the external carotid artery, right by the angle of the mandible right there. It just goes like straight by the border. It gives you a branch that goes to the mental region. This one here is going to be known as the submental, but they don't have it in the list. Right under the chin, basically, submental. And then it marches up and it gives you a branch to the lower lip. That's going to be your inferior labial. Gives you a branch to the upper lip. That's superior labial. Then it's going to change names. It becomes the angular. Angular is going to terminate in what is known as the dorsal nasal, but they don't have the dorsal nasal. Dorsal nasal is going to form an anastomosis with the maxillary deep in there. Okay. Then you have two arteries. They have them in the list. Again, they follow the same names for the nerves: supratrochlear artery and supraorbital. Okay. External artery, continued and completed. Superficial temporal. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, next on the second page, they have the external artery. What does that mean? External, maybe they're talking about external carotid artery, but they have in the list external artery, continued and completed. But I think they're just talking about the other branches of the external carotid. So now external carotid is going to continue after it becomes the facial here. To the back is going to give you the occipital. They have the occipital in the, and then it's going to give you the one goes behind. It's going to be your posterior auricular. They have it in the list. And then the maxillary right there. Maxillary, you just have to go deep in there. That's a maxillary. Maxillary. And then transverse facial is this guy. Right, this is, remember this zygomatic process? Right above the zygomatic process, that's going to be your transverse facial. Transverse facial. And then it continues and it becomes the terminal branch, which is going to be superficial temporal artery. Has two parts to it: superficial temporal artery frontal, this one, superficial temporal parietal. Okay. Questions?
I'm good.
So take a look at it tomorrow in the anatomash, okay? And then Thursday, we'll try to see what models that are available and go over these models. But at least for now, at least you have a little bit of um, like where to find the stuff. At least you have a little bit of understanding of where to look for them. I think the cranial nerve, at some point, we just have to do the cranial nerve, like all of them together, because right now they only have two. They have the trigeminal and the facial for you. But at some point, we're going to have to do all of them. So the invisible body, there is a model for all of them. This model right there. So it shows you all the cranial nerve from start to finish. But right now, we just did these two. There's only two, the trigeminal and the facial, which is this guy right there. This is the facial. Facial don't complicate the issue. Basically, you just have to follow them by 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 direction where they go. Temporal, for example, and then zygomatic again, then buccal, then this is going to be your mandibular, marginal, and then it terminates, become the the cervical. The one behind the ear, which is the first one, which is going to be this one, is the posterior auricular. So now for the facial nerve, I don't remember actually. They have newer models, but we will look. We'll see what models we have for the dry lab. Now the trigeminal, definitely, I know they have a newer model where they have the trigeminal and they have the ganglion, and you can see all three branches easily. You can see the ophthalmic branch, the maxillary, and the mandibular branch. There is a model for this, and the model actually they have is good because it's showing you a sagittal section. So you don't see this busyness because here we have all these bones in the way, making it like a slightly difficult to identify. You'll see it like in a sagittal view, like just cross section. It will be easier to identify. I'll walk you through them in the lab on Thursday. But for tomorrow, at least you have a little bit of understanding now where to look for the stuff. I think you won't have any problem with the muscles of the facial expression. You already have seen those. And superficial muscles of mastication is also going to be easy. Temporalis, masseter, and so on. Maybe a little bit is going to be tough to find the pterygoid, the two pterygoid, the lateral and the medial pterygoid. You have to dig for those. But the other ones are going to be easy to identify. Any questions? I hope this helped and I didn't waste your time.
No, it helped a lot.
No, it's super helpful.
Oh, okay, okay. And you can listen to the recording again. So the recording, basically you go to the general folder. There's a shared folder. Within that folder, you have the recording from today and from last week.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. If you don't have any questions, then I'll see you Thursday, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we will see you Thursday. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
okay. All right.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good
You
night.
have a good night.
Oh, God. You too. Bye.
Bye bye.